It's incredible how much mileage you can crank out of established ideas when you give them your personal coat of paint, eventually improving your handiwork until it takes off on its own merits. Platformers were firmly established by the end of the 80s, with Pitfall and Mario setting the genre groundwork. But Capcom wasn't interested in making another marketable mascot. Yet. They were ready to torment you in the seventh circle of hell. The only way out is Satan's demise. Ghosts and Goblins stunned the world with its wicked artworks when it was unleashed in 1985. But it didn't age elegantly due to its fiendishly unfair difficulty. 3 years later, Capcom were ready to visualize hell again, aided by the power of their new Capcom Play System boards. And this time, they define classic. Ghouls N Ghosts is one of the greatest challenge platformers ever constructed, coupling flawless controls with grueling, mostly fair obstacles, and the most badass imagery ever invoked in a late 80s arcade game. Inspiring game developers for more than 30 years while keeping an uncopyable identity. In theory, its premise is similar to its predecessor. Ghouls shares most of the same principles that warmed a few people up to G&G, especially its demented landscapes. So, what distinguishes Ghouls from G&G? What part of game design is so important it affects how the entire game feels? Control! You have it at all times. 3 years was plenty of time for Capcom to figure out imps spawning right on top of you without warning is not fair challenge. The game will try to spawn its dangers away from the center of the screen if possible. And in the event something pops up beneath you, you're only given 2 seconds to react versus the 1 or less in G&G. Flying fiends still swoop down from the sky, but whenever they strike, you're always given a second to react before being burned, assuming the threat's unshootable. If you paid attention to my shots, you should know where I'm headed next. Pour one out for 4-way fire. You won't feel like a dunce standing around ladders until the ogre campers get out of the way. BAM! G&G is instantly obsolete. Any great video game sequel will either present enough distinction to give it as much value as its predecessor, or improve upon it so much that you never want to go back to the original. One guess where Ghouls goes. 2 simple adjustments fixed G&G's biggest drawbacks. Success is now 95% skill, and tedium is exchanged for opportunity. I could go on with the smaller improvements making Ghouls more appealing, like the magic-granting golden armor or greater artistic detail, but you get the point. Reducing the prequel to a curious milestone is already a strong start. But when the potential of the improvements are realized with legendary levels, you get creme de la creme, the best of the best. Ghouls' 5 demonic courses test your mastery of the controls over horrifying distortions of nature and civilization. Are those mountains alive? Or were the monuments hexed to ensnare any oblivious bystanders? Not only do you get amazingly mysterious atmosphere with professional pixel art, per example, none of it is recycled. The only recycled enemies are the basic skeletons, the pigmen, and the bugs, which, fair enough, they never buzz off. Everything else is entirely unique to their stage, often engraved directly into their backgrounds. With every stage receiving the same care, they all left unforgettable impressions. A complete triumph of conceptualization. Since Capcom refused to sacrifice quality for quantity, Ghouls is notably shorter than the average arcade game. It's only 15 minutes long, assuming you don't die once. But I don't think you're gonna finish it that fast. It's difficult for a reason. If the journey to hone your Satan-slaying skills doesn't last, the time-honored tradition of the second loop was upheld for good reason too. Although this time, the jump in difficulty is unnoticeable. You're given a victory lap with the uber-powerful Psycho Cannon that can obliterate bosses in 3 hits. And best of all, you get to play more Ghouls and Ghosts. I'm not gonna say no to more badassery. Any good game would leave you eager to play it again. As the big red bastard falls from the screen-tall throne, it's safe to say Ghouls N Ghosts deserved its reception as a beacon of challenge platformers. Like Pitfall 2 defining non-linear platformers. It's many things, but it ain't flawless. One damning flaw holds it back from perfection. Its weapon balance. Weapon chests feel like an afterthought, just there for the sake of consistency. There are 5 other weapons you can get from chests, not counting the special Psycho Cannon, and 3 of them are crap. Crap you're forced to pick up if you're really unlucky. The axe and flame speak for themselves. Don't you love shots that drop like a rock in a game where you're expected to shoot up? If you get either of these and you're not able to easily replace them, you might as well restart the game. They're that bad. The sword fares slightly better. It actually has its uses, since it doubles your strength at the expense of your range. But since the game is still based around shooting, they didn't realize the 4th stage boss is impossible to kill without projectiles, forcing you to drown yourself to backpedal. Oops! This adds nothing but frustration to a would-be perfect game, and I've seen plenty of people look away from ghouls because they get the fire and they're unable to fight effectively on their first credit. I get the intention was to make weapons more effective in certain scenarios, but if that was the goal, why randomize the items? Put the fire before the big worm you gotta bomb to ensure it's only shown when it's appropriate. A couple of static items would have given them actual purpose. Otherwise, they're just fun ruining traps. Speaking of traps, there are few Kaizo traps blatantly designed to eat your lives. But these are easily memorized and nothing compared to randomly getting a dysfunctional weapon. The game had to guarantee it got money somehow. If these frustrating nuisances weren't in the game, it would be damn perfect. I can't emphasize that enough. But I digress. Glaring mistakes are a learning opportunity. In another 3 years, Capcom would completely perfect the challenge platformer. And if the game gels with you, Ghouls accomplished so much in such a short frame of time. It profoundly deserves an S- IMO. Thank you for listening to my reflection on one of the most memorable games that has entered my life. I know this one took longer than I expected for a variety of reasons, especially preparations for Shmup Slam 6, but I pulled through in the end. The best thing you can do to support my show is to just pass this one around as far as you can. My life would feel worth every year spent if more people are inspired by Ghouls for what it's worth. Until Wonder 3 or Super Ghouls and Ghosts, stay frosty out there.